All right, last night we had a very good card over in the O2, headlined by Fabio Wadley, Fraser Clark. Can't sing the praises of both guys enough. It was a great fight. In one sense, I'm happy it was a draw because really neither guy deserved to lose that fight. It was brilliant. The undercard itself wasn't bad. I really enjoyed Babbage versus Steve Robinson. That was a fun fight for what it was. What I was gonna say, Wadley, Florian Marku and Chris Congo. That was a really good little scrap as well. Vidal Riley, Michael Lowell, not so much. And that Ben Whittaker Leon Willens fight was an interesting watch. It really was. So as a whole, even though there was only 6 fights on this card, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very fun little card, and in terms of boxer shows, this is one of the better shows. It really is. And in terms of main events, that might be the best main event Boxer have put on since they've started up with Sky Sports nearly 3 years ago now, come October. So it got me thinking, okay, Ben Shalom on Sky. Moving forward, is this the turning point for Ben Shalom on Sky? And then I look on BoxRec, I see that Adam Azim is likely going to be facing Harlem Eubank next. And it's just like, no. Maybe that's just a kind of one-hit wonder. And I hope it's not. I understand, I'm not saying it is, I hope it's not. But right. Ben Shalom started with Sky Sports in, I think their first show was October 2021. I think I was actually in London for that show. I wasn't at it, but I think I was in London for that particular show. And I don't know, did they do it in the OVO? But I think Eubank might have even been on the undercard. It was a kind of, you weren't expecting much from the start, put it like that. And I certainly wasn't expecting much from Ben Shalom on Boxer. He was taken over from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn had done, Anthony Joshua pay-per-views, Carl Froches, he'd done Dylan White, stuff like that. So he was coming in and trying to fill the void left by Eddie Hearn. And bear in mind, Ben Shalom was coming in with a roster of fighters that, some of them hadn't even made their pro debuts. He was unknown. Right, so for the first year, 18 months, you could look at what Shalom was doing and say, look, he's only starting. I know he's got a big budget, which was strange, considering Eddie Hearn only had, I think, prize fighter tournaments for the most part when he was starting out on Sky. Even if you look back to 2016, a lot of those Saturday fight nights, they weren't amazing. It was just kind of making do with what you had and then saving the big guys for the big occasions. So Ben Shalom, it was kind of like, okay, just he's going to have some growing pains. Let's see what he can do. He gets Eubank versus, I was going to say Smith, but it was Liam Williams first. That was on standard Sky Sports. And then he does Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. Well past the sell-by date, but nevertheless, he was still able to do it. And then I was just kind of like, well, what now? Obviously, he had the Taylor Cattrall fight, and I thought he handled himself very well in the immediate aftermath of that. And again, it kind of had me thinking, okay, Ben Shalom, he's certainly not Captain Charisma, certainly not when he's being interviewed, but maybe there's something okay here. And it's kind of roughly, I don't want to know maybe necessarily it was then, but it's kind of in around that time when you started seeing a lot of cracks start to show. They never got the Taylor rematch over the line. Jack Cattrall ended up going to Matchroom. You had fighters coming over, maybe having a fight or not even in Jack Cattrall's case and leaving. He put a lot of money on the table to bring Lawrence Okoli over to Sky Sports, which, no disrespect to Okoli, that was a bit of a head scratcher, especially when you were going to have him as the face of boxing on Sky. And, Eddie Hearn tried his best, and, realistically, he wasn't really getting anywhere. And I was thinking, well, is Ben Shalom going to do any better? And obviously now, come what may, Okoli is fighting in Poland for a Bridgerweight title. That's a far cry from where I thought, or I'm sure he thought he'd be, and so did Ben Shalom. He brings over Joshua Buatsi, but Joshua, he's had the Dan Aziz fight, but is he going to get the yard fight? What's happening there? And the shows, for the most part, haven't been amazing. And that's fair to say, they haven't been amazing. Even some shows where on paper there might be one good fight, the rest are all just kind of meh. The matchmaking's been poor. And I don't want to come across as too harsh on Shalom, but his Sky deal is apparently up next year. Now, I've heard rumours, and again, these are just rumours. I've been to events, I've heard a few things, that regardless what he does between now and then, likelihood is that deal is going to get gone, because a lot of the stuff hasn't been up to standards. I mean, I would assume Sky Sports would want some pay-per-views, and right now we don't seem to have, apart from like the Usyk Fury show, which is going to be probably shown between, Sky Sports and DAZN. It's not their own pay-per-view, if you know what I mean. They're having to basically go and try and say, can we come in here and put Joshua Ngannou on pay? Can we come in? They don't have their homegrown pay-per-view. So whatever pay-per-views they're getting, so if they did however many views or however many number of buys for Joshua Ngannou, DAZN did so many as well, so people had a choice. It's not just Sky Sports. They're kind of like, can we crash the party? Is that okay? Because we kind of need box office and we kind of need something, so we're going to try and come in and help out. That's mainly what they've been doing. I look at BoxRec, and Shalom obviously has that date with a Coley in May. Lucas Rosansky, he obviously has that show in Cardiff, which has Jessica McCaskill, Lauren Price, Mark Jeffries, Reese Edwards, Moses Jolly, I think is how you say that guy's name. It's not looking to be a particularly stacked card, if I'm honest, and as in the Cardiff International Arena, I can't imagine that's going to be particularly full. I can't imagine, because looking at the card, it's not exactly stacked either. You'd really want to have some ticket sellers on there, and they're the only two shows he has. Factor that in, Adam Azim is getting a lot of stick, and I would, again, not trying to have a go, but I would point the finger of blame more at Shalom than Adam Azim with this whole Dalton Smith situation. Was it Ben Shalom who said, they're trying to get Adam Azim, like Eddie Hearn and Dalton Smith while he's young, and now he's fighting a fighter who's even older than Dalton Smith. I think Harlem is 31, 32. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And if you're Eddie Hearn, you're loving this, because I would imagine when Eddie Hearn found out that Dalton Smith was going to be ordered to fight Adam Azim, he just thought, do you know what? I'm going to milk this for all it's worth. Because Eddie Hearn and everyone else pretty much knew, right, that fight's not going to happen. And it's not going to be on Matchroom's end, it's going to be on Boxer's end. They're not going to want to go through, or they're going to vacate a title. And they're trying to come with this narrative of, Adam Azim, he's inexperienced, this, that, and the other. BS. As far as I'm concerned, if you are willing to put your guy in there for an EBU title, a recognized ranking title, which gets you a world ranking, if you are willing to put your guy in to fight for that title, you should be willing to put him in to defend it. I mean, imagine Eddie Hearn Anthony Joshua when he fought Charles Martin. Imagine he beat Charles Martin, and then all of a sudden, they announced, right, Klitschko, you're going to fight Klitschko. And they said, oh no, he's not ready for Klitschko. We're not even ready to be world champion, just there you go. Anthony Joshua would have got ridiculed for that. He would have got so much stick. It would have been just a real cheap, here's the belt, see you later, haha, we're not fighting anybody. He didn't do that. Went ahead, obviously he had his two defences, then he fought Klitschko, unified champion. A year later, he unifies again with Parker. With Adam Azim, it's not a world title, but an EBU title is certainly nothing to turn your nose up at. And it's almost like, we only did that because it was an easy win. We knew that would be a little tricky to pick up and say, oh, he's European champion. But we'd no intention of defending it. It looks so bad on Shalom. It really does. And two shows, and they're all in May. There's nothing for the month of April. Some are Hearn shows and some are Warren shows. I mean, if you look at Matchroom, they've got a show on this weekend. They've got another show on next weekend in Manchester with Jordan Gill. They have, it's obviously Haney and Garcia, if that goes ahead, it probably will. That's all DAZN show, but it's Golden Boy versus Matchroom. And then they have that next gen show at the end of April. So for the next 4 weeks, Matchroom constantly have a show. Frank Warren, if he's not doing a Magnificent Seven show, at the very least he's got, Grassroots York Hall. I think he's got a York Hall show coming up on the 20th or the 19th, one or the other. I got an email about it. He's got that in the York Hall. I forget who's headlining that. I think it might be Sam Noakes or someone else. I'm not sure. But I know he's got a show coming up at the end of the month anyway. So Frank Warren is always he's always doing something. If it's not a big Magnificent Seven or something like that, he's putting these shows on in the York Hall. And to be fair, when you look at the matchmaking on some of the Warren and some of the Her Next Gen shows, they're not bad. And you do see some good scraps on them. Whereas you look at some of the matchmaking on some of these boxer shows and you're just scratching your head like, what on earth was that? Sometimes it can be either a complete stinker or they just get some absolute obscure fighter who you've never heard of and somehow they have a winning record and you're like, who the hell were you beating to get that winning record? Good Lord. So yeah, there's a lot of work between now and next year for Boxer, and look, judging by what I'm seeing here with the upcoming fights, it's 6 weeks until their next show. And there's nothing really else on the horizon. I know they haven't got a massive roster, but still, nevertheless, it's not looking good. It isn't looking good for Ben Shalom. And at the end of the day, like I've nothing against Shalom personally. I don't know him, but you come in and you get this budget with Sky, and straight away it's almost like you're isolating yourself from the Warrens and the Hearns, who are now working together on these Saudi shows. And, you know, as I said, you know, you're a Joshua Boazzi, you're a Lawrence Cody, you are got to be absolutely cursing yourself for not waiting and seeing how things shape up, because they could be or they probably wouldn't be headline, but they could be at least co-headlining on some of these shows, making crazy money. Instead, we don't know what's going to happen with Boazzi, and Lawrence Cody is fighting in Poland for a Bridgerweight world title after stinking out the joint twice in 2 respective months, really. So yeah, it's a tough road ahead for Boxer and Shalom. Look, I think now you look at it more, losing Adam Smith, not even from the commentary end, because I've always said, like, Adam Smith on commentary is kind of, yeah, I like him when there's those big dramatic moments, he's very good at them, but for the most part it's just like, I could do without, you know, but he knows boxing, he gets it. Now he's with GBM, and I think he's going to be their like head of boxing, kind of like the head of boxing over there. He'll be commentating on the shows. That's a great move for GBM, and they do some very good shows. Do GBM? They're on YouTube. I think TalkSport showed them, and they're very, very good. They're very entertaining fights. And for Adam Smith to be a part of that now, that's only a good thing. Now that he's not with Sky, he's been gone since October 22. Well, we really noticed it, didn't we? Like, you could argue that's really when the real downfall of Boxer started, was when Adam Smith had his hiatus and then was ultimately gone. It's really then you started really noticing, okay, things aren't going right here. And, you know, last year was a complete write-off almost for Ben Shalom and Boxer. So I think that's another thing they're missing. They're missing someone who understands the game, has 30 years of experience, really does understand boxing, and is almost kind of there. I don't want to say it like this, but in a way almost the whole kind of Ben Shalom's hand, and just kind of show him the ropes. I've always likened Ben Shalom to someone who, imagine a guy writing a script and he's writing for a comedy or a drama or soap or something like that, and he's coming up with all the ideas, and this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to Adam Smith, who's filtering out the good ideas and saying, okay, we can work with this, we can work with this, we can work with this, but God, what is the rest of this? See you later. Take Adam Smith away, and now you have someone who's just putting that script there unfiltered, and all hell breaks loose. You know, that's kind of what it's like on Sky now. It's going to be a tough ask to fix it. It's going to be a tough ask for Ben Shalom to fix it. Can he? That's the question. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. And again, I'll give praise where credit is due. I'll give praise where it is due as well. Last night's show was brilliant. I give Ben Shalom a solid. If I had to grade him, I'd give him a B+. B+. The one thing that let it down was Michaela Wall versus Vidal Riley. I think if that had been a little bit better, I would have given him an A grade. That's the one. But you're not going to always, how was he? No, he wasn't going to get it right. That was the one thing. Other than that, it was a very, very good show. Might even be an A-. So that's my thoughts on that. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe. Of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.